See, to talk about the mind of God already is making a distinction between God and mind and something in the mind and something in the God, right? So metaphysically we can't say that. Theologically we can say that because that's the language we can talk about. But in terms of metaphysics, such as Plotinus and Plato, certainly Plotinus makes it easier. He says the nature of the good, in a very, very interesting statement. See, you can't say anything about the good, can you? On the highest level, metaphysically, it's a dia negativa. It's that about which you can say nothing. So therefore, he says, out of a pure nothing, existent, well, this emerged.
In Kabbalah.
That's Kabbalah. That's also Buddhism,
Yeah.
right? That's also Buddhism. Kabbalah, right? That's Plotinus.
Out of a pure nothing,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
emerges.
yeah. Okay. In figurative language, in metaphysics, they talk about it in terms of, if you can do this. We don't see light. We infer the existence of light because it is reflected off surfaces, right? Light is invisible. So the light, right? Light itself has a source. This is its source. The source stands to the good as the light stands to the perfection of beauty and the idea of the good or the nature of ontos or reality, if you like images.
Wait, say that one more time.
So,
Well, maybe I can get 2 for 1.
Well, I was just wondering how you can tie in analogy to the idea in the mind of God. Because it seemed like you were saying the perfection of beauty. You have an arrow drawn from the perfection of beauty, the idea in the mind of God. And I'm just wondering how that perfection of beauty generates the universe.
Right, okay. Did he answer your question? Did he push it another step?
I don't know.
Oh, sure.
I was thinking earlier when you were talking about the philosopher and the soldier, and I thought that that their discussion of their pursuit of the one would preclude their ever achieving their purpose, because they are. It seems as though they're locked into a duality that denies the one, and it also that as I considering this discussion, it seems like a discussion that the philosopher and the soldier would have, that the one is being discussed as a multiplicity, and then the discussion of the one as a multiplicity, it is the experience of the one is precluded.
See, the one itself has no predicates. Well, there's no predicates. I mean, you can't say anything about it. If you do, you've deviated from the idea of the one itself. So it can't be a multiplicity. This can be said to be a multiplicity because you're making distinctions within it.
But it would seem also that at some point, and I think that's the point that you were making, at some point you have to leave the idea of the good behind.
That's true. That's true. Which only the dialectic can do. Right. See, this is not an experience. The one is not an experience.
It's not the object of experience.
It's not an object of experience. It's not an experience. Or if it were an experience, it would have a beginning, middle, and end. You could then, in some way, contrast it with other things. It's not possible to contrast it with anything else. I think we went over, we see, the fundamental dialectic on the one itself. See, dialectic formally goes through 12 positive steps or procedures and 12 negative. Right? So when you're talking about the one in respect to itself and everything you can say about it, right? You can say therefore a set of things that are true about it. You can also say there's certain things you cannot say about it that are false, and then there's certain things you can say that might be said to be both true and false. True in one way and false in another. All right. Then you can talk about the one that you just described and the way it can be said to relate to other things or others. And when you do that, which is what we were doing with the idea of cosmology and things like that, again, you can say things that are true, things that are false, things that are both true and false. All right. All right. Now you can talk also about the idea of the one in respect to how the others relate to the idea of the one and all the ways in which it can be related among the others. And you can say three things about it, that it's true, that it's false, both true and false. And then you can also now talk about how all of these others then relate to the one. And you can say something true, false, and both true and false. Right? So that's 12 categories that you can work through. This is called the positive side of the dialectic. And for each of these, then, you can also deny what must follow if you assert that the one is not. If the one is not, right? If you say the one is not, then there's certain things you can say about it, and equally well, it follows the same structure going on the other side. So there are 24 categories in a dialectic on any subject, especially on the idea of the one. So when you're talking about the one in itself, the fundamental distinction upon which all the rest must follow is if you really mean a one to be a one, whatever you say about it, you cannot assert about it that it is in any way of many. If you can't say in any way that it is a many, then you're dealing with the one in itself. So that therefore, would you not agree you can't say then that it's a whole, because a whole has parts. Right? So it can't be a whole. It can't be a part, because a part is a part of a whole. You can't say that it has any beginning, middle, or end, for those would be its respective distinctions. Right? You can't therefore say that it is in anything. All right? It can't be in anything. Or let's put it first. It can't be then be asserted that it's in motion, nor can it be said to be in rest. If it's in motion, then there must be some place it is and some place that it can go to, and that's already a manyness. It can't be at rest, for as it is at rest, there must be some place for it to be over a period of time, and therefore it presupposes a manyness three ways. Then you can see how it is the same as, whether or not you can say it's the same as anything, or you can say whether it's other than anything, or you can then explore whether it's the same as another, or other than another. And by using the same kind of approach, if you say it's the same as something else, that presupposes there is something else upon which you can then compare it. Right? That's a manyness. Can't say it's other than anything for the same reason, because that presupposes there must be another, which you can contrast it. That gets you out of one itself. It talks about relationships, one with other things. Therefore, in the same way, you